So I did a PowerPoint, and if you say you can't do a PowerPoint in the lift, I've thought this one through, because I would never get in the lift without my phone, and I've got my PowerPoint on my phone. So I would be able to cost someone with my PowerPoint in an elevator. And I think they'd be pleased because it would pass the time, and they wouldn't have to make eye contact with me. They could look at the PowerPoint instead. So that's not worked. Oh, do you know, it's very disappointing. Our CQC, this is sort of our starting point. Our CQC feedback was my best slide. We've got outstanding for caring, right the way down under caring it says outstanding. So that's really good, because that shows you've got a good starting point, because everyone in the hospital cares. And we also had outstanding for end-of-life care. But you know, it was a lot of work to get there. At our starting point, we're getting some quite good feedback from families. We do a survey of bereaved parents every 2 years. Now we're doing it every year. And this was the one that we'd done just in the first year that we were starting building on the best, so from previous years' deaths. And the only thing just to note from this really is something that we wanted to improve, which was 32%. Only 32% of families said they'd been given a choice in preferred place of death. You have to bear in mind, these are children who died in the hospital. So if we gave them a choice and they said, we want to go home, they're not going to be included in this because they've gone home. But of the people who died in hospital, only 32% definitely chose to be there. A lot of the children who die in Great Ormond Street were getting referred to palliative care when we started. All of the children who die on the ward were referred to palliative care, but not all of the children in the ITUs. We wouldn't expect all of them, but particularly looking at the neonatal intensive care, NICU for those who don't speak paediatric, 11% were only being referred of the expected deaths. So the things we started off thinking were, well, how can we maintain this? Because there's going to be another CQC inspection. You know, how can we keep up the work that we're doing and maintain that momentum? And also, actually, how can we improve? Because there's still a lot of room for improvement. You can't sit back if you get a good CQC and think, we've done it. So we wanted to see if we could increase the referrals to the service, particularly looking at neonatal. Improve the patient experience. There were still some things in the bereavement survey that could be improved. One of them was communication. And we wanted to try and improve the staff experience of end-of-life care. So our main focus was really on the education programme, and we developed quite an extensive education programme with lots of different formats of teaching within it. We introduced some new SIM training. So one was, the SIM wasn't, well, we did end-of-life care and parallel planning, then we did a talking to families when death is a likely outcome. Because when death is a likely outcome, people can accept that. They can't accept when a child is going to die. But when a child might die, they can come to training for that. And out-of-hospital extubation. And we got into making films. So we're making a film a year now. We've done the A, B, C and D of dignity care, which we showed some of you. And this year we used the same children that we used in the first film to come back and talk about death. So we've done an educational video on talking to children about death, which is quite good fun. We managed to, early on the Building on the Best, get onto all consultant induction and mandatory training. And oh my goodness, a great idea at the time. And it's only 20 minutes, but it's 20 minutes again and again and again and again and again. And I think it comes out about once a fortnight. We've been doing shadowing. Our nurses have been doing shadowing on the wards where the child is at end of life. And we've been sitting people in the all of the ICU ward rounds. Not every single ward round. PICU twice a week, PICU and NICU twice a week, CICU once a week. A labour of love. You can sit there for 2 hours from 7:30 and not be spoken to. So what has happened as a result of what we've been doing? More children have been referred to palliative care. We've had a 29% increase in referrals over the project period. We can't say it's just down to the project, but I think the education has helped with people being happier to refer. Also, I think teaching on the induction. We justify on induction. We say we got on because we said it's a pan-trust service, and it's one of the things that CQC are going to assess you on. So you have to have it in induction, and that kind of seemed obvious. We're getting a higher percentage of inpatients getting access to palliative care. I don't get too excited about these numbers because they will fluctuate over the years, but I'm pleased that we're still seeing all of the children who die on a ward outside ICU, because we should be seeing those children. And in the past, some have slipped through. Neonatal referrals have gone up a bit, 29%. That's going to be hard to maintain. Our PICU referral rate, I thought, would go down because we have a very high presence. And often if we have a high presence on a ward, they get that support without referring. So we don't really mind if it goes down, so long as we feel we're providing the support. But it actually went up. In CICU, our referrals went down, which is what we saw when we first went to PICU. And I think it reflects we're there, so they don't necessarily refer because they get the advice and the input. But actually, our referrals from cardiology overall went up by 30%. So one thing that I'm wondering is, did some children not end up on CICU because they got an earlier referral to palliative care? I don't know, but it's just something worth thinking about. And the important thing is, not necessarily we got all the CICU referrals, but that the referrals from that area went up. We also managed to send out a PREM. It obviously wasn't just the one question, it's pages and pages of questions, but I just put this last slide on. And generally, families are very satisfied or mostly satisfied with the service that they get from palliative care. You'll see in red, one was not at all satisfied. And off camera, I can give a bit more information about that if anyone's interested. But actually, it's the ones in red you want to pick up. We don't want there to be any reds, but I think there probably always will be some like that. So what are we going to do for 2018, 2019? It's the maintaining momentum, I think, is really, really hard. And one of the advantages of actually revamping the education programme is, you know, one of the sessions we developed at the beginning of Building on the Best, we've done it, it's a whole day. It's a really nice structured day. We've done it 6 times. I cannot face doing it again. And actually, attendance was oversubscribed at the beginning, and now it's not as well subscribed, which means we've served that cohort of people that wanted that. We need to now come up with something new and something fresher. So you've got to keep changing things. We're repeating our bereaved parents survey. We're doing that at the moment. It takes about 6 months because these are interviews with parents and they take at least an hour. And that will capture, what I like about that is it will capture all of the inpatient end-of-life care experience. That will include inpatients who died on the ICUs who were not referred to palliative care. So, because it's not about how are palliative care doing, it's about how are we doing as a trust. So I think that's really important. We're going to do another staff survey. And as I said at the beginning, the main thing is to keep updating and refreshing the education programme. And then my last slide is just some nice things that people said about us, just as a bit of backup that we must be doing something right for at least some people. So thank you.